Hello, welcome to Deja Vu, the classic TV rewatch channel. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Also, hit subscribe and the bell notification button to see more content. Manhunt, Episode 2 of Season 1, which aired on October 10th, 1960. This is directed by Don Weiss. It is written by Charles Stewart and Jack Ellenson. In the beginning of this episode, we see father and son having a good fishing experience out at the lake. They're in their boat and they are debating the type of bait to use. Andy wants to use a piece of ham, which Opie finds to be a little weird. But very soon they catch something with it. They catch a nice trout, and Opie is thrilled with his paw in this scene. He Opie believes that his dad, and he states it very loudly, that his dad is the most important person in Mayberry, maybe even the world. And the moment is sadly interrupted because old Gertrude, the boat that they are in, starts to sink. Now, as they get to shore, Barney shows up and he has something big going on. He is flustered. He is doing his usual side steps and he's just very energetic. And we finally get out of him that there's an escaped convict heading towards Mayberry. So that's big for Mayberry. And then, as they're talking about how they're going to handle this, we hear once again that these two are cousins, which is interesting because we did hear that in the prior episode. However, this is not something we're going to hear forever. I'm not sure if we will hear this one more time or not. But next, we find ourselves in the jail. Um, Otis is there. This is our first time seeing Otis, and he is given permission to leave. And what does he do? He unlocks the door himself. So we see that precedence is set right here, and it will continue on throughout the series. Now, he when he's asked to stay a little bit longer, he makes mention, well, I really would, but I've got to go to choir practice, which I found very interesting because I don't believe that there's any episodes where we see him in a choir. So it would have been nice to have seen that. He probably is one of the few characters we don't get to see doing that. Uh, Now Barney, after this, cannot find his lone bullet. He's gonna load up because they got a manhunt about to go on, and since he can't find it, interestingly enough, Andy gives him enough bullets to fill his whole gun, which we don't see that too often that I'm aware of. Now, Captain Barker from the state police, he arrives with his men, and as they enter the jail, Andy is trying to talk to him, and they just completely ignore him. They set up shop in there. They are ready to go, and as Andy comes in there, he acts a little silly. There's some comedic relief going on here. He's definitely not playing the straight man in this scene, and really in a couple in this. I think maybe that just hasn't been established yet that he would be doing that. I think they were kind of testing things out, still kind of getting their rhythm in the show. But anyways, as this happens, the state police decides to leave. They tell him, look, we don't need your help. Why don't you go chase some chicken thieves? And here is where we see Opie is clearly upset. He does not like that this has happened, and he makes it known as he says, don't they know how important you are? Now, Barney ends this scene with what is the first of many accidental discharges of his gun in the series, and his bullets are promptly taken away. Now, outside, the sheriff and his deputy are sitting there and they're listening to the radio. They're hearing what is going on in this manhunt. And as they go back into the jail, the citizens are concerned that the sheriff is not involved in this. Why aren't you out on the roads? Why aren't you helping with this? And he does try to defend himself, but what happens is we see Opie once again jump in, and he's defending his paw, and he is loud. I think that maybe in these first handful of episodes, they just really had Opie overplaying, overacting, maybe you could say. I mean, granted, he's a child, but he's much louder in these episodes than he is as the series goes on. So I think that's something that just kind of changes maybe as they coach him. However, Andy decides to take action, and he's going to set up. He's going to look around the lake. Barney is going to set up a roadblock. And this is where the comedy just ensues because he starts stopping people to pat them down. And we see that he even pats down the mayor of all people. He knows who he is. So see you later, mayor. And then he pats down his mother. And that was the really cool part for anybody who's watched this show a lot. We never, ever see his mother except for in this episode. So, next, the convict walks up and he takes Barney's gun. Now, the part that I didn't quite understand here is that the last we had seen of the gun, Andy had taken away the bullets. So, I guess we're just supposed to kind of assume that maybe he got at least one back in there, but we didn't actually see that happen. So, I kind of wonder if the convict got an empty gun. In this scene where he takes the gun from Barney, it's a serious scene to a degree, and this is what I love about Mayberry is the fact that there is something serious going on, but it doesn't lose its charm, the easygoing charm of the show. It's serious without there being an actual problem because you know, as you're watching this show, things are going to work out. And I think that's very reassuring when we're watching this. That's why it feels good to watch it. All right, now we see where Barker berates Andy and Barney for the whole situation with the convict and getting the gun. I don't even know if he was aware of the gun. However, he just tells him, stay out of the way. And during this radio conversation, we continue to see this polar opposite that was put on display, obviously purposely, between Andy and Barker. I mean, one is nice as can be, and the other one is just rough. And they really contrast each other, and it makes Barker look even worse. He just looks very bitter and very, very mean. He's always scowling. He's got these looks on him. But Andy tells Barney that they're not going to stay out of this. He has a thought, and he knows that this convict is hungry. He's out walking around. He's looking for food, and he knows that he's going to smell those homemade pies that Emma Brand makes at her cabin. Now, and so we cut over to the cabin. Andy and Barney come up. They get a bad feeling. They said, this doesn't seem right the way she's acting. And when they come back to the door, they basically indirectly tell Durkinson, the escaped convict, about the old boat, Gertrude, so he could get away on it. But this scene is just hilarious to me. I love Emma. And she's great in this scene. The faces that she makes, the physical awkwardness that you can feel on display is just hilarious to me. She does a great job in this scene. It really makes me wish that we had seen a lot more of her as the series goes on. So after this, Baker does arrest Durkinson as he swims to shore at the lake, and Andy's reputation is saved. It's a quick end to the episode. It closes up very tightly. Now, in this episode, we see the regular cast, which is Andy Griffith, Don Knotts, Ron Howard, and Francis Bavier. We also see, as we talked of earlier, Hal Smith in his first appearance as Otis Campbell at the jail. Cheerio Meredith, she returns as Emma Brand, whom, like I said, I just love watching on the screen. Dick Elliott appears for the first time in this episode as Mayor Pike, but we're only going to know him as Mayor in this episode. Later, he will be known as Mayor Pike. Now, his character, oddly enough, is based on a resident of Andy's hometown whose name was Floyd Pike. Elliott was born in 1886, and this man had over 60 movies. On TV, he guest starred in Superman, The Rifleman, I Love Lucy. If we were to list out everything that he had, this video would be a lot longer. Now, Ken Lynch stars as Captain Baker. He had a TV career as a character actor, and he was very successful at it. He mainly played policemen and investigators in TV and in movies. Norman Leavitt appears as Cal Leavitt, and he appears as other characters in the series. However, most notably, it's going to be Wally, the owner of the filling station. Now, also seen in this episode for a split second is Burt Mustin. It's his first appearance. This man I love seeing as well in here. Wish we had seen more of him in the series. However, we are going to see him as we keep going here. Now, this man was born in 1884, and he began this is the amazing part to me, he began his acting career at age 67 after being a car salesman for most of his life. What a transition, huh? Lillian Culver plays Barney's mother, and like I said, this is the only episode we will see her. We will hear of Barney's mother, but this is the last time we see her. This episode earned an award for Best Writing in a Comedy or Variety Series. As noted earlier, Otis sings in the choir. Wish we could have seen that. Andy refers to Barney as his cousin again. This is, as we talked of, the first time that Barney accidentally shoots his gun in the holster. Not the last time we're going to see that one, right? Now, Barney's theme song, which we hear in the rest of the series, is first used in this episode, but it's for the arrival of the state police, not for Barney. I have a favorite scene in this episode, and that is in the beginning when they are fishing and Opie catches the fish. And it's just hilarious to me as Opie comments that it was the ham that they had been debating. And Andy says, he sure did. He's still smacking his lips. I don't know why, but that one just gets me. Now, watching this episode, it's clearly a father son episode. And it shows us, or at least it showed me, that if you invest in your kid, they will think the world of you. This is a good thing to leave us with. It's something that I always strive for with my own children, though I fall short many times. But it's good to see, though it is an imaginary world, where it can work out just right and you can see how it should be. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Thanks for stopping by. This has been Deja Vu, the classic TV rewatch channel. Hope to see you again soon.